Hello, this is Skunk speaking, and welcome back to another video for the main 4th video. I will be using footage from my older videos here, so just so I don't have to keep on going to offline matches or online matches just to get footage of one character. So for this video, you may have seen it, I'll be ranking the 10 Lightsaber Duelists in this game and how they do in lightsaber duels. So basically this is of course my opinion, but this is basically how my experience is with them. I have gotten quite a bit of experience with all the Saber heroes, and apart from really Rey, and we'll be getting into the Saber heroes around about now. At number 10 is Rey. Now, I think the best way to say how she's number 10 is comparing her strengths with her weaknesses. Her strengths are the ability Insight, which gives her extra damage, reveals the enemies and doubles her stamina, along with Mind Trick inverting enemy controls, has 3 dashes with a star card, and is quite quick. Now, let's get into her weaknesses, which there aren't many of, but in my opinion they outweigh the strengths because of how they work. So the weaknesses are her dash strike and mind trick. Now, the reason why I say that is because of how it doesn't always work. It's now gotten to the point where it rarely works, and even if you do, it doesn't deal enough damage to be very useful. So that's where I take issue with it, because and that's where my issue comes with Rey. Along with, she does not have any ranged abilities. The way I describe it is Dooku if he was the worst Saber hero in the game, because he has very short range, but all of his abilities have some sort of use at any time and can be really used at any time. Rey, even in trooper modes and Dooku's exposed weakness ability, yes, it doesn't have much of a use in hero modes, trooper modes, but it can at least be a bit useful in those modes when you're trying to chase down one enemy. You can just use that to slow them down and get them, or just damage them a bit more. In Rey's case, that's mind trick, and yes, while it does it on more enemies, it doesn't make it deal extra damage to them, which is where I think she just comes in, and it doesn't really work for her, and her health regen is not that good, and I rarely use Rey because of that. I much rather use Yoda, and I main him, which I know that sounds very strange because not many people main a Yoda, but still, I think if her dash strike or mind trick were replaced with some sort of lightning ability, because she did use the lightning in Rise of Skywalker, I think she would be a bit better in this game. Now, coming in at number 9 is Luke. Now, he has way more strengths than weaknesses. Like, he has a pretty fast swing speed, and he is quite powerful. Where I take issue with him though is because he has no more strength though, but where I take issue with him though is because of his and just another strength. If you put on I think it's rush immunity on his rush ability, and then you put on the one that gives him 3, which makes him be able to do it 3 times, it makes him quite powerful, since you can have pretty much damage reduction for 9 seconds. But basically, where I take issue with him is his low health regen. If he had 250, I'd be pretty okay with it, but since he only regens 200, it makes him pretty weak and fragile, so it's why I think he's good for use of new players. But I think if his regen was better or has some kind of health cards that made him get extra health, he would be much better for new players. And my second issue is his ability combo, which is pretty much Anakin's in reverse. For Anakin, it's pull then heroic might. For Luke, it's pretty much repulse then push. Now, before you say I have that card that makes it mean push enemies further away, I used to use that card, but once I realised, because I thought it made it do more damage, I didn't realise it pushes them further away. But even with that card off, it's still a pretty bad combo because it's pretty hard to catch back up. And while I think Luke is pretty powerful and good, I think he could be better. Coming in at number 8 is Darth Maul. Maybe wondering why I'm putting him in number 8. Now, the reason why I think he's better than Luke is because of how his speed is. He's more of a Yoda kind of duelist, meaning, in other words, he uses fast movement for pretty much to dominate, and his abilities are quite good when it comes to dueling. Chokehold, it doesn't work as much as like Saber throw, and it's more of a more situational ability, but it's still a really good ability because it does pretty much take out enemies pretty quickly. Well, not pretty quickly, but it does take them out quite well. And his rush attack, spin attack I mean, if you use that on Rey when she's doing her dash strike, or while she's mind tricked you, you can pretty much cancel her dash strike while getting to safety at the same time. So it's a pretty powerful ability combo. There's not really much I have to say about Maul that I don't like about him, because apart from maybe how everyone always seems to take him, but I can understand that he's a fan favourite, so I do understand people wanting to use him because they're his favourite. So I do understand that, but plus I don't really prefer using Maul. And I think another hero is better than Maul, which is going to come next. So coming in at number, I'm pretty sure 7. I'm struggling to keep track here. Or 6, isn't it? Hang on, move to Rey. Hang on. Sorry about that. So it is number 7. We have Kylo Ren. Now, the reason why I put him above Maul is because his abilities and his quick speed, well, it's not as fast as Maul's, but he has a very powerful ability glitch, which makes him very powerful. That's the Full Frenzy glitch. If you basically use that Full Frenzy glitch on a thing and all 4 strikes hit, you'll be leaving him with 60 health. That's a pretty low health, and then you just need 1 strike to kill him, so you can kill Finn in 1 ability use and 1 strike, really. And his pull, I'm going to say it's not as good, but also better than Anakin's pull. It's hard to explain because it kind of is worse, but at the same time kind of better, so it's really a matter of point of view. Then freeze, it's a pretty good ability, and some people I see them doing, and some people they do a jump hook instead of a 2 strikes to the back. I would recommend doing a jump hook because basically then I would recommend just going behind the enemies and doing 2 normal strikes. I recommend that because at that time you be able to get 2 strikes in, and I see people doing frenzy. Those strikes take much longer than Kylo's normal strikes. So yeah. But I think Kylo's pretty good. But this next hero, I wish I could put him at number 5 or even number 1. But I can't. Number 6 coming in. Master Yoda, it is. Sorry, I had to do the Yoda impression. At number 6, we have Grandmaster Yoda. I know this may seem a very strange pick for many people, but I wish I could have put him at number 5, but he does good. I think all the other Saber heroes that are Maul, Kylo, Luke and Rey are better than him, but he's still pretty good. He can handle heroes quite well, and his quick speed and his super lunge, as I call it, it's pretty powerful. And I think Yoda is only able to rank as high as he can because of that super lunge, which I did a tutorial on on my main channel. Here I was lagging a lot, so that's why I'm not doing as good as I was. Pretty much my health got melted, so because I couldn't do much there. Hang on. Okay, so basically back to Yoda again. So his presence is pretty good for getting you health back. It's also pretty good for getting you out of stuns, and it has saved me a couple times where I activate presence while being attacked. Even though I could have done it at a different time, sometimes it can save you quite well if you activate it at the right time. His Unleash, I think it's pretty good. Yes, it's not the best and could be better, but it's still a pretty good ability for what it is. Then his last ability, Dash Strike. This is what kind of drives Yoda's main attack. I often tell people not to use it as a main attack, and I always forget that I use it as a main attack. So I'm just going to say for now that when I say don't use it as a main attack, I mean use it in a way where you're comboing it with your main attack. Yoda's attacks are quite slow, but they're also pretty quick with parries and dash attacks. So I recommend always using your dash attack with your main attack as this kind of ability combo, because you'll be getting 6 hits on your enemies, with half of them from the dash attack, the other half from your main attack, which is going to be if you all of 6 hits. So that's pretty powerful for Yoda. If anything, my only complaints are his low health regen and his low health. The low health I quite understand. It doesn't really, I can handle that low health. I think his health regen could be a bit better, but it's still pretty good. For number 5, we have Obi-Wan Kenobi. Hello there. So, for Obi-Wan Kenobi, he's a pretty good hero. He's the most defensive and has the second most blocking stamina in the game. When it comes to pretty much almost everything, Yoda takes the most blocking stamina when it comes to the blaster bolts blocking. He can block over 40 bolts, but it doesn't feel like that because of how the bolts usually always rush in at you. But it's still a pretty good. So for Obi-Wan, he has the all-out push, and I see many people saying they don't like how it's slow. I recommend putting on the card that makes it speed up by 0.50 seconds if you have it at max. It doesn't seem like much, but it really is a lot. So sometimes a little can go a long way. So I really recommend you using that card if you want to maximise your Obi-Wan all-out push abilities. For his mind trick, it's pretty good for what it does. And recently, in recent times, it used to be that people would combo it with their defensive rush, which people do still do, but I have been seeing a couple players not comboing it with defensive rush, which is what you should be doing. So yeah, his ability combo is quite well, and it is quite good with defensive rush and mind trick, and when it also comes over to the defensive rush and how and if you get 2 strikes on it is still pretty good. So yeah, so that's pretty good for Obi-Wan. His attacks, they're pretty good, same with the attacking stamina. I think if you know how to manage your stamina with any hit, then you can pretty much use any hero, because that's pretty much halfway there. So yeah, anyways, that's pretty much it for Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now we get on to the best light side hero. In my opinion, it's Anakin Skywalker. Well, the best light side hero. I still say he would be the best light side hero though. So why have I put Anakin Skywalker on number 4 instead of number, let's say, 2 or 3 or even 1? Now I do think he's pretty good, and he does make my top 5 in Saber hero duelists. He has Retribution, which does take time to charge up, and you'll rarely get to use it in duels because of the charge up time. He has Passionate Strike, which is pretty good for breaking blocks when you need to get damage into heroes. Heroic Might, pretty good when comboed with Pull Dominance, and Pull Dominance pretty good for getting boba effects out the air and pulling people to you when they're running away and stuff like that. I say Anakin's a pretty powerful hero. His attacks, they are pretty good with their swing speed. I think they could be faster, but I'm pretty happy with how fast they are. I think if they made it any quicker or slower, it would feel a bit too out of place. So I think it's pretty good for Anakin, and I think you should always be running Tenacious. It makes him a better hero when it comes to health wise. So I always recommend running Tenacious. It's pretty good. So let's get into my number 3 pick. At number 3 we have Darth Vader. Maybe wondering why I'm putting him at number 3. Well, that's because I think the next 2 heroes which you've been keeping track of are better. Now I think Darth Vader is a pretty powerful hero. He can have 950 health, over 1150 if you activate Focus Rage, and even more with that Furious Resilience star card. He has a pretty good choke and the lightsaber throw. I think his swing speed's pretty good, but when it comes over to the choke, it doesn't work a lot, and I try to use it when I'm out of stamina, so people get aggressive at me, and when I'm attacking them, I can use my choke. But really, the choke, it doesn't work that much in duels, so I think if it did, it could still slightly damage people through blocks. I think it could be a bit better. But still, I think Vader is still a pretty good hero, or synonyms, but I still think Vader's a pretty good hero, and I think he's pretty new player friendly. I know this is more footage of me chasing a BB-8, but it's really the only footage that's long that I have on my channel right now, so of number 2, so at number 2, it's General Grievous. Now number 1, 2 and 3 would have been very different if I was in the middle of last year. Because number 1 would have been number 3, Vader would have been number 2, and this hero, General Grievous, would have been at number 1 when it comes to duelists. But for General Grievous, he's pretty good. Has unrelenting advance. I see many people say it's not that good. I think it's pretty useful. It can bait pro players, and it can also help you get health back. But it also helps your enemy get health back. So yeah, but it still feels good to use, in my opinion. For Clawrush, it's a pretty good ability. If it still had that thing where you could keep on hitting enemies over and over again, then I think it would be a bit too overpowered, but it is still pretty powerful. And then we have Thrust Surge. I think it could be a bit of ability. They could have replaced it with an ability that makes him go forward, that makes him use forearm to a main attack, but still I think it's a good ability. It helps him get to enemies that are at range, so I'd say it's a pretty powerful and good ability. So there's nothing really bad to say about Grievous apart from his poor lightsaber deflection stamina. I mean blaster deflection stamina, but it doesn't really matter that much because of really how good he is, and really unrelenting advance can block blaster bolts. Same with his, and really he can also just dodge them. So he's pretty good. Now onto my main in Battlefront 2 when it comes to dark side. For number 1, we have Count Dooku. I rank Dooku this high because he can 3-shot a hero. If you run Sith Control, Masterful Duelist and Dominance, you can literally, and then activate Duelist and expose weakness on your enemy, and then they spam you with Saber attacks. All you have to do is parry them 3 times and they're already dead. That's a pretty powerful combo. The reason why I use Sith Control instead of Initiative, I think Sith Control is better because it helps him survive longer, but that's my star card loadout, and I always recommend using that loadout if you want to make the best of it. This one I do pretty much lose because I'm getting back used to playing with no sound on, so do keep that in mind in this footage. But basically, I think Dooku's pretty good. His normal attacks pretty good. Health regen with the star cards, amazing. It pretty much makes him be able. It's pretty much the best part about him, outside of him being able to 3-shot heroes. Lightning Sun, I think it's pretty good. I think the range, it's pretty good. And I've seen many people saying it's not a good range, but it's still pretty. But in my opinion, it's a pretty good range. For Duelists, I like that it gives it more, makes him speed up his attacks. I wish that he was attack behind his back with hands behind his back with his main attacks. I think that makes him more, in my opinion, Dooku-like. But an exposed weakness, I think it's a pretty good ability. Even in trooper modes, it has its uses, not as much as normal modes, but it's still pretty good. It slows down enemies and has extra damage done to them. If you defeat the enemy while the ability is still active and it's you who defeats them, then you instantly get it back, which I rarely have happen in Duels, and really it's not that useful in Duels. But still, it's a pretty good ability. And really, there's nothing really bad about Dooku once you get the right loadout for yourself. There's nothing I can really say about Dooku that is bad. He has the most dodges in the game, and probably the second best dodges, second to Palpatine, because he has 3 and they're all pretty quick. So, and they are also quite unique, so since he does it with a hand behind his back, where everyone else does it with, well, everyone else doesn't have their hands behind their back. So they're pretty good. And I think Palpatine, his is still the best, but it's still pretty good when it comes. But Dooku's is still pretty good, and I think he only takes that second spot for best stashes because of that, because he has a 3rd one, and he regens them quicker than any other hero. So yeah, nothing really bad to say about Dooku. Once you get that star cards loadout I said, he's pretty much the best Saber duelist in the game. So I hope you enjoyed this May the 4th video, even though I'm recording it on May the 2nd. Now that seems strange, but I'm doing it early so I don't forget to do it on May the 4th. So I hope you guys enjoyed this skunk dueling video. Hopefully I can hopefully we can get back to normal videos so soon. So yeah, thank you guys for watching this video of dueling. If you want to say your ranking in the comments section, then I would like to know what your ranking was. I think Vader would be coming first in most lists, Yoda probably last, Luke probably halfway or even in your top 3 yet, but that's just going by how other people seem to say it as. I think some people will agree with Dooku being number 1. I think many people will agree with that, but I think more people will agree Vader's number 1. But yeah, still, thank you guys for watching this video, and see you next time. Bye.